So pollution. As more and more pollution is emitted from the environment, the cost of removing each additional unit of pollution increases, like stating that you can't remove all pollution. It just becomes too costly. So the market strategy to deal with pollution is to increase the cost of pollution to discharge it. If you increase the cost, what happens to the demand of doing it? It drops. So you increase prices, people don't want to do it as much, it just becomes too expensive, so they learn to deal or use other products that do not have or emit pollution or pollutants. So some ways of dealing with pollution here. We've got the command and control. These are laws that set limits on pollutants, how much businesses are allowed to emit, and how much they're not allowed to emit. ERCs are emission reduction credits, kind of like carbon credits, which we'll talk about in later chapters. The optimum pollution concept, and that has to do with the marginal cost and abatement, and right in the middle is the optimum pollution. All right, that is where we can have that amount of pollution. And let me draw this. You have your marginal cost pollution, and then give me another color. Let's get orange. Yeah. Sorry, Seminole fans. So right in the middle is your optimum pollution, where the market and people are willing to have that amount of pollution because the cost is just right. It's not too expensive. It's not too taxing on the environment, which this point is. And it's not too costly to remove any more additional units. Examples, cost of a dam. You do have an environmental impact, but you also have a way of producing cheaper, renewable energy. Successful pollution control, which is reduction in airborne, which was an act that reduction of airborne lead by 98% with the phase out of lead gasoline. We will be doing a taking a stand in chapter 3, and that taking a stand is looking at the environment versus jobs, where quite often that is the issue. And in this situation, it's about old growth forests and harvesting of those trees and the conservation of these areas versus jobs. And what they've noticed is the over-harvesting or harvesting of these areas, there has been a decline in the spotted owl population. And an economic evaluation approach to old growth forests is represented down here by this graph. And you have 3 points you need to know. You have C, B, A. And at C, this is the current, where we currently stand. Very few old growth forests remaining. B is as the abundance decreases of the old growth forest, the value starts to increase. People want old growth forests, and they are willing, I know you can't see this, but willingness to preserve old growth forests increases with an increase in value. And then A, saying that there are a lot of old growth forests, and the cost on the environment is low. This is where the public is willing to harvest. All right. So as the number of old growth forests increase, public is more willing to harvest. As it decreases, very few, increase value. They want to preserve old growth forests.